The gap between knowing and living. There comes a moment in the journey when something becomes clear inside. You see the truth, you understand the pattern, you know what matters, and yet life doesn't immediately change. Why does it happen? Why can you see it clearly and still feel the old habits, reaction, identity pulling you back? In this gathering, we'll explore why awareness doesn't instantly translate into action, why the nervous system needs time to catch up with consciousness, how real transformation moves from understanding to embodiment. This conversation is for anyone who has ever thought, I know this already, so why am I still struggling? Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever understood something deeply, know the truth, seen the pattern clearly, and still found yourself doing the same thing again? That space between awareness and action, between insight and embodiment, is what I call the gap between knowing and living. And today, we are going to explore why that gap exists and how transformation actually moves through it. And I choose this topic specifically because a lot of you coming with the question, I already know it, but I'm still. And let's really look at this gap between I already know it, but I'm still, and the difference between knowing and actually living it, right? So, knowing it, you know the information, you consume the information, you studied, you read the books, you went to ashrams, you educated yourself, you explored, you have a lot of information every time. Actually, when you read about anything about enlightenment on transformation, somewhere in the back of your mind, you already, yeah, yeah, I know it, I know it, I know it. And at the same time, you're still finding yourself in that same repetition of same reaction or same feelings. Why things are not moving the way you would want them to move for you? Why things are not happening the way you would want them to happen for you? Why is it I know it, but I'm not living it? Can you see that? There is information or some kind of an expectation of what am I supposed to be. The end results after consuming all of the information, you already build yourself some kind of a picture, some kind of a way of being, and then you can see that the reality doesn't match with what you have created for yourself. And that's where the alert comes in and tells you, you are not there. That's not a way to react. That's not a way to live. And you're picking up, you understand, no, that's not what I want. And why am I still going back to the same reaction, same action, right? There is a deeper awareness here that comes in, right? And I'm going to use the word awareness quite a lot today. Or if you want, you can translate it to consciousness. They're both very identical. Let's see what's really happening here. You catch yourself already after have something have occurred, and you catch yourself in a situation when you are repeating same emotions, same actions, same thoughts that create this almost break, like as if you're braking on something, as when you're driving and it's not a smooth drive, and then and then the brakes comes in and you're like, why am I braking again? I want to go smoothly. But somehow your body is pressing on a brake when you want to go smoother, when you want to continue driving, when you want to continue pressing on the gas. So why am I pressing on the brake when I actually want to press on the gas? You see what I'm saying? You see the road is clear, no obstacles. There's no way. Why shouldn't I be continue pressing on the gas, and why one foot is pressing on the brake? So you can see there's almost like this deeper way of something doing completely something else of what you would want it to do, right? You have the understanding. That's a clear picture. I want to go further, but I am braking. I know it, right? And that's a good moment to see and just kind of ask yourself the question, why is my foot still on the brake? Why am I still reacting the same way to the same things? Why is it still happening? The why will give you not knowledge, but the why will get you more of truth. Why is it real happening? You see, consuming information, you can almost look in school, because we were trained to consume information in school through different subjects. Like if you really honestly ask yourself how much of what you have learned in math in school you actually using every day, right? Of course, there is this the necessary math of plus and minuses, division, multiplications, something that we use on daily basis when you're in the store, or even though we can just press a few buttons and the information will come for you clearly of everything that you need to know or don't need to know. But at the same time, we are consumed with so much information, but we're not using the math that we already learned. Same thing happening here. You consumed so much information about mindfulness, about transformation, about consciousness, about emotional intelligence, about peace, about happiness. You consumed information. And now the question is how you're implementing it in your life, right? Why am I knowing it and I am not using it? The shortcut, it's practicing. That's it. That's the beginning and the end of our session. Practice it. Fake it till you break it. And that's basically why you're aware of it, but you're still not doing it because you haven't been practicing it. You haven't reprogrammed it to a new way of being. So it goes from knowing, but not implementing it. Everything that you know, you need to implement, right? Same thing like if you decide to run a little bit faster or a little bit longer, you might consume all the information about how to be a better runner, what supplements to take, what route to take, what exercise to do. But knowing it will give you a bit of a boost. And you can ask yourself, why am I knowing it, but I'm still not running faster? Because you're not implementing it, you're not practicing it. Practice is the secret. And yes, it's a pain in the rear end. Yes, we don't want to practice it. It's much easier just to know and go into aha moment. And how to practice when you already know all of that. How to practice your knowledge on consciousness and on awareness and on transformation, how to practice it every day with yourself, right? And very often we consume all the information, we can see all the turning points, all the dark spots in somebody else. We can see, oh, look at that, they're still doing that. It's easier to look at somebody else and see their situation clearly and what they should and shouldn't be doing because we're watching it from the outside. It's clear for us. But when the awareness kicks in and you start watching yourself, you become just aware. You become just as knowledgeable about yourself as well. Most of the time, we're very much great at giving advice to somebody else. We can witness them. We can witness their flaws. We can witness everything, what's they doing wrong with their life. But we kind of using it sometimes as an avoidance of looking at ourselves. What is really working here and what is not working? So the gap between knowing and living it, it's always in the practice that in between. A personal story, just recently I was with a friend who was very happy to help, to help and give advice and give very valuable advice. And I am always into, I know, I'm not very easy to be coached. And this friend happened to be a coach as well. And I'm listening to all of the solutions that she's that being offered to me. And I feel the resistance within me. It feels that's not right for me. I don't think that will work. I find the resistance. And at that moment, the awareness came in, because I find myself very often in this resistance when advice being given, is what's really happening here? Where am I closing in? Where am I shutting down? Why am I shutting down? As soon as, let's see if I can just soften just a bit. And I start relaxing into that and allowing this resistance dissolve. And what I saw in front of me is a friend who's so eager to help, who's so eager to transform. And I was just excited watching her excitement coming with all these ideas and solution. And it wasn't anymore about my resistance. It was about this space of receiving love and support from someone else, which is not always easy for me. And I notice my resistance is about receiving love and support, right? And that's a moment of truth, knowing it and living it. I was able to be present at that moment when the resistance kicks in, when the awareness kicks in. Why am I still doing it? And I invite you to really start implementing it in your daily life. When you feel you pressing the brakes instead of the gas, knowing the road is clear, ask yourself, why am I doing it? And most of it, it's old habits of protection. The body is still protecting you. The body is still protecting you from making the same mistakes. The body still wants to making sure that you're safe. The body still wants to know that everything stays the same, right? So you can react on autopilot to the same things that you know you're not supposed to react anymore. For instance, if you've been in a victim mood for a really long time, now you're aware there's a very comfortable victim lives inside of you, and you start fishing it out every time it comes out in the form of helplessness. Somebody please help me, right? The more aware you are of somebody who is helpless, somebody please help me, or nobody loves me, right? And can see that this is an old pattern that I've been living for a really long time. Let's see how I can shift it. Let's see what can be done now. Why am I still feeling it? Oh, I know. It's been triggered. When you ask the question, why am I still feeling it? You can see that the old pattern being triggered and the body reacts in the old way, old familiar way. You're going to be catching it every time a little bit earlier. Sometimes you catch it weeks or months after, when you already indulge yourself in the victim mode and saying, okay, enough is enough. And sometimes you're going to be catching yourself just as a situation happening, and you're saying, oh, I hope I'm not going to go into victim mode here, because that sounds like a great opportunity just to feel sorry for myself and dive in. So the reason why you're still feeling it, even if you know it, it's the old patterns, the old wounds coming to life again. They're still kind of tickling your nervous system. They're kind of still flirting with you. They want to revisit me again, whether it's anger, whether it's frustration, whether it's bailing out, whether it's running away. It's an old pattern. That's why know thyself, know your reaction to situation, know how you react during stress, know how you react all kinds of situations that are triggering you. And a situation might be also not always on a negative, also on the positive. For instance, when you go out in nature, you always feel better, right? So this is a situation that nature nurturing me, I'm opening up, I'm enjoying myself, nature is my home. You know already that when you're going to go outside, it's going to be there for you. It's going to nurture you. It's going to love you. It's knowing that you're predicting the future. You know what will work for you. Same way, if I'm going to go that way, or if I'm going to experience this, I'm not going to feel that great. That's not for me. What can I do? So when you start kind of asking what works for me, what doesn't work for me, you are starting to training your nervous system. You're starting to train your whole body You're training yourself into more alignment with the consciousness. And there is great frustration that I come across some of you. I already know it, right? And one of the things not to do, and a lot of you do, it's when you are experiencing the same pattern again, and instead of going into solution, you're going into criticism. Why am I here again? I should be better. I don't believe I'm here again. That's not working for me. Something needs to be done. I don't like it. So again, that's not going to take you out of the pattern. That's going to just prolong that space where you're sitting and marinating in your own criticism. That's not changing the situation. If the awareness comes in and saying, okay, now I'm doing, first of all, you recreated the old pattern by reacting certain way. Now you're recreating your reaction by reacting to the way you have behaved, by criticizing yourself. So it's not a solution oriented, right? And when you train your mind to be more present, if I know I already collapsed somewhere, what can I do now to get myself out? And it's constant practice. I know you guys heard it many times. You're tired of listening to that. I understand. Is there any other way? I really would like to know. Knowing and living it. It's not another book. It's not another meditation. It's not another ashram, another teacher. It's hands-on awareness. No shortcuts. That's it. No shortcuts. So how can I be aware of when I'm not living my truth? How can I be honestly aware of not living my truth? You know it because it's in your body. The body doesn't lie, it's never lies, right? So if you're present to your physical body, you can feel the contraction. You can feel that something is not smooth. Often we override it because we don't want to stop and think for a second. If you have decided something that's not working for you and you still decide to go ahead with that, your body will tell you it doesn't feel right. You will want to override it and continue with that and continue with your previous decision because you just want to push through. You've been trained to push through. You've been trained not to pay attention to what's really standing in the way. And that way you're allowing yourself to go into a deeper trap. So if you are conscious of your physical body, right? If you're conscious of that contraction that you just made a decision that's not working for you, you'll be able to investigate more honestly what's truly and honestly happening here. And the question is always honest. What is not working for me? Why am I choosing it? Why am I sabotaging myself? Am I still in the old pattern? And how to get out? You know. You know how to get out. Everyone have their own tools in how to get themselves out of messy situation. For somebody, it might be taking a deep breath. For somebody, it might be repeating some kind of a mantra. For somebody, it's just disconnecting for a while and just stepping back. Everybody have their own thing. Everybody have their own way. And if you don't, then I highly invite you to invent one. When you catch yourself doing the same thing that's harming you in the same way, how can you actually shift it and what needs to be done to realign yourself back to your purpose, to your consciousness, to your awareness? Because the mind likes familiar. Taking the mind out of familiar patterns, it's extremely hard. It's same like breaking an addiction because the mind was addicted already to a certain way of being. The mind already knows certain patterns, and now you're introducing it completely something new that it's never used to, that it never experienced. And you expect it to just shift from one way of being to another way of being, because you realize that's working better for you. And now you're saying, listen, now we're going to do it that way. But it's already used to doing something in a certain way for so many years. It's used to this reaction. Now, if you take it a little bit gentler and more calmer, understand, okay, this is just a repetitive pattern, and I need to introduce new ways. Introducing new ways of thinking, introducing new way of being. I don't advise you to take big jumps and big steps because you will find big resistance. And that's why my advice for you is to take small steps and check in with yourself. Can I take a bigger step next time? How is it working for me? Because at the same time, the mind going to tell you, oh, we want the end results. We already want to be there. Take the jump. Forget the parachute. You need to know yourself. Am I equipped for big jumps? Can I do this big jump right now? Maybe you're just fed up with the situation and you want to just step off the plane and take your big jump. And that's okay too, if you're ready for that. If you're ready to deal with the consequences, it's usually in a place of make it or break it. And sometimes you might be in a situation of make it or break it, and the big jump is necessary. But when you are becoming more aware and you're starting to shift and pivot the mind and discipline it in a new way, it's gonna take time. And it's not happening overnight. Or if it happened for you overnight, congrats. Give us the secret, the recipe for that. And it's a constant work. You might already program the mind into something and it's working great for you, but then you realize it's time to shift again because now I'm in my next level. That's not working for me anymore. I need a new program. And you're going back to the same exercise of awareness and reprogramming the mind and taking the steps, small actions. I know you all want the magic pill. I know you all want it to happen now. I know most of you probably already tired and exhausted for it happening again. And that's another trap of the mind because it created the ideal you and you want to be this ideal you, and yet life showing you that you're still not perfect. And you start to be disappointed and you start throwing tantrums and you become helpless. Why am I still not that ideal me that I have fantasized about? I know it all, but I'm still not there, right? And that's another trap of the mind to be overactive, overstimulated. It's another trap to keep you small because you forget to look back and say, wait a minute, but where was my starting point? And I'm sure that if you're listening and if you're watching, then by now you have done enough work or a lot of work been done through probably years of consuming information, meditation, whatever was your thing to bring you to this place that you are right now. And yet the craving to be more, the craving to have more, to enjoy more. So you can see the mind, even though that it wants you to be protected and safe in the same place, also desires for you to be better and stronger every day. The minute you decide, I don't want to evolve, I don't want to change, and you are plateauing, you're creating this almost deterioration because we are here very creative beings. The only one who can create something is the human being. Our mind wants to constantly create something. I don't know in other species that can paint or make something out of something, build their own homes with all kinds of materials, right? Invent things. This is creative mind. A species beside human that can read. We found a way how to take our ideas, put them in a paper, and read about them tomorrow or 10 years from now. Now we can also save it. The internet, nobody else has invented it. This is the human mind. It's extremely, extremely creative. If you're not creating, you are dying. And I can see it also in elderlies coming to a certain age. If they don't have ideas, or if they not have the stamina of life, of the next experience of life, they become very stagnant. And unfortunately, in our society, we don't have enough support or enough respect towards the knowledge and the wisdom of elderlies. Not enough respect there in our Western society, right? And that's for a lot of our also elderlies kind of find themselves useless now. We're changing it because we are recognizing the experience of years that we can all benefit it, but it's just starting now. So I know it and I'm still doing it. So it's nice to sit with yourself and really make a list of things that you know exactly what you're doing. You know that it's not in your best interest and you're still doing it. It doesn't have to be mental, like it can be like I'm still in this relationship, right? I know it's harming me, and I'm still coming back to the same relationship. It can be something like this job is mental graveyard. I'm not growing here. I'm bored and I'm still coming back to this job. So you can see both of them, they're safety nets. I'm still there. I'm still doing it. I know it's not working for me, but I'm still doing it. In both situations, I'm still doing it, even that I know it's harming me. It's basically the fear of taking another action, the fear of doing something else, the fear of expanding, expressing, creating another life, right? Therefore, the body going to be contracting, and it's not going to be feeling good because you have done nothing to change it. I know it, and I'm still doing it. So change needs to be made in order to change the situation. Same thing with your thoughts or your habits. I know it that I shouldn't be reacting when so and so said some this and that, but I'm still doing that. So it means the mind is still in the old pattern. But right now you know it. You know it. And you also know how to change it because you already kind of investigated, okay, I'm having this reaction because this is what happened. And the new reaction sometimes needs to be practiced and fake it till you make it, right? For instance, if you have experienced a loss, like a very deep loss, that and your body reacting and your mind reacting and all of you reacting, and you are kind of read all the books and okay, nothing is really mine here. If the person left, whether left physically or the relationship dissolved, right? And you're going into this pattern of self-sabotage and very deep grieving. And you know what? You shouldn't be grieving anymore. It's been long enough. You want to start living. It's done. I don't want to live that way. I'm done grieving the relationship or the person not living in their body anymore for whatever reason. I don't want to feel this grief anymore. But the mind takes you back into a very, very deep emotional spiral where it's hard to control. So if you're going to look at that extreme situation, you can see that here the mind programmed in a certain way to react in a certain way to certain situation. We know as children, maybe as a child, you've been programmed if somebody dies or you had that experience of a death or separation or a relationship dissolving, you already saw how suffering should be applied through very deep emotional drama and trauma, prolonged drama and trauma. You already learned it from someone how you should be reacting in certain situation. So you can see it's a clear programming that the mind goes into autopilot. Now somebody have left their life or left me, and now I'm going into this extreme emotional ocean of emotion, emotional storm, let's put it that way, knowing that nothing here is really mine. You see? So there is one foot on the brake, one foot on the gas, and it's create this extreme imbalance. So you're experiencing everything on autopilot. At the same time, you know that's not how you want to feel because you know nothing is really mine, but yet the body and the mind going through extreme. And that's basically because there's not another program in there, not another model of a program. And the way of reconditioning the mind or work with the mind is to bring something else in. Another image of somebody, if you're going through a very deep, prolonged grief, there's also other culture who celebrate life when somebody passed away and the experiences that you have shared with this person. And it's a celebration. And there are culture who go through an annual grieving, no parties, no going out, dressing up in black, missing this person. It's not going to bring them back. But you're showing how deeply you've been affected by this person leaving the earth. So you can see the mind of both culture being preconditioned in certain ways, and your body and your mind reacts on autopilot because that's the only thing you knew. That's what you observed when you were a child. That's what you saw in movies. That's how you know you trained your mind react that way. When something like that happens, react that way. So when something like that happens, what do? You react the way you've been programming it. You know it, but there's an autopilot. When you catch the autopilot and when you start giving it new instructions instead of being hard on yourself, right? That's when the programming starts changing. Sometimes it's too strong and there's no reasoning with the mind. And it just takes you to a whirlpool of emotions. And that's the time when I say, do something else. Don't train the mind at that moment. Distracted. If there's no common sense at this moment and you feel like you lost control of it at all, like it's an ocean of emotion, distracted with the walk, distracted with talking to somebody, distracted with going to a mall, nature, talk to somebody, watch something funny, distracted. When it settles, then you can revisit. The more you do it, the easier it's going to be to catch it at the right time and move into the right space. Okay? The difference between knowing and living it. You know it, but now you need to implement it, practice it, live it every day. Those of you who have done with me the 10-session intensive, you already know how life stories goes, right? So you already worked through your biography, through your life stories. There's no attachments there. You already know why you're reacting. You know very clearly what's happening, why you're reacting the way you're reacting, why you're choosing those patterns. You already have enough knowledge if you've done the 10 session with me. The next thing is just implementing it again, and again. So I really like to hear back from you. When do you know you're knowing it? And when do you know you're living it? What situation in your life happened when you felt that you know you shouldn't be doing it, but you're still falling into the trap of repeating the same thing? I also like to know from you, what have you done to get yourself out of the trap. And that can be very helpful to so many people because we kind of learn from each other what are the tips. How can we help each other from not falling into the same trap? And some of you have been very innovating and have invented some amazing things of how to get yourself out of the trap from knowing and living it. Right? And it's, trust me, it's not about consuming more information because you already know it. A lot of it's about practicing awareness and very important not to go into the trap of self-criticism and self-doubt. All right? I'm going to answer a few questions. We had a few very good questions that I saved somewhere. Let me see. Okay, Renata, sometimes my patterns are very clear, but I'm still repeat them. Does it mean I'm not changing? You're not changing if nothing have changed. That's mean you're not changing. But you're aware now of the pattern. You're aware you are repeating it. So you are changing. Before that, you were not even aware that there is a pattern. The change continue happening again and again and again when you are catching the pattern sooner than later. Every time you're catching it a little bit sooner. And you have your tools of how to investigate it, ask the right questions. Why am I still here? Why am I getting out of it? What does it take to get me out of here? Not bad mouthing yourself, not criticizing. So, yes, if you're aware, you are changing. If the ideal you have showed up, have embodied Buddha is here, I don't know, but you're sure on your way. Hope that answered that. I understand many of this concept intellectually, but when I'm triggered, everything disappears. What to do? Notice the trigger. It's almost the same question, right? Noticing the trigger a little bit sooner, but also investigate the trigger, right? So you know you're triggered. If you're going to investigate the trigger and ask, what am I triggered here constantly? And most likely you have the same trigger all the time because it will be the same reaction, like I shared before. For me, getting instructions from somebody, or somebody telling me what to do, I'll be triggered. But it's my inability to receive. So this is me needing to work on receiving. What are you triggered for? What is the triggering point? Or why is it triggered? You see, once you understand the trigger, it's getting easier to identify it sooner. And it takes some clear, great honesty to be present to the trigger, even if you catch it as it happening. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Is it normal to feel frustrated when you know the truth, but can't live it consistently yet? Yeah, so of course it's frustrating because there is some kind of a self-sabotage. The question is again, I know the truth, and somewhere I'm not living it. So what's the reason that I choose not to live my truth? What's the fear behind living my truth? Why am I still sabotaging? Is it the fear of the change? Possible. The comfort of not living your truth because then you don't have to do anything, right? Knowing your truth and acting on it. And again, remember I talked about taking small steps because jumping out of the plane with a parachute can be, without a parachute, can be extremely intimidating, right? So can you know the truth? And if you're not acting on it, what's the reason? Pure honesty. And the last question, how do I stay patient with myself while I'm still in a gap between the knowing and the living? First of all, it's important to know, to look back and see all the work that you have already done, even to come to the place and see the gap between knowing and living. And the more you're going to give yourself taps on the back and saying, I've done it. I'm already here. I'm going in my own pace. I already moved that far. So you're already giving your mind proof that you are actually living it, that you're actually evolving, that you're actually changing, that you're actually transforming. You're already giving your mind an understanding. I know I'm not there, but I sure have done a lot of work. So that will help you to see that, yes, I am moving. Otherwise, if you don't see the progress, you're going to be extremely impatient. Why am I not still not there? Why I'm still not the embodiment of Buddha or Jesus? All right. And the mind will go into, you see, everybody are, but you're still not. When are you going to do that? When you're going to get there? How much longer? Right? And that's how we've been preconditioned from our childhood, from our society, just to bring the next level and feel that you're not there yet. The next level, it's actually another opportunity to experience something beautiful and enjoy this journey between point A to point B. Enjoying the journey, knowing that I am on my way. And you're always on your way. No matter what you do, you're always on your way to something. Because when you arrive, there's always the next point. That's just how life is. Okay, those were awesome questions. I loved each one of them. There were a few more, and you did send quite a few questions on that subject, so I appreciate it very much. But we're gonna move into the next part, and we're gonna move into our meditation and our breath. And if you're listening on YouTube, it's a good time to listen to the instructions. If you are watching and you have done the 10 session intensive with me, you know how it goes. You can pace forward or pause it or come back. So we're going to go through two meditations and I'm going to show you both of them. I'm going to take you to the experience of knowing and living through your consciousness, through your awareness, through another state of being. And we're going to practice it through breath and meditation. We're going to start with meditation. I'm going to just show you the way we're going to meditate. And then I'm going to show you the way we're going to breathe. And then we're going to move into experience. So please watch me closely and follow it step by step first before experiencing. So in our meditation, you're going to be sitting comfortably in a chair with your feet firmly on the ground. You can also sit cross-legged on the floor if that works for you. You're going to put your fingertips together, turn them upside down, and bring it all the way down into your lower body. You're kind of anchoring yourself. And the breath going to be just through your nose, closing your eyes and breathing deeply into your nose, expanding your belly on inhalation, exhaling, inhaling, expanding, exhaling, contracting, inhaling, expanding, exhaling, contracting. And you'll be experiencing that while I'm still guiding you step by step into that meditation. You can open your eyes now. The second part of that meditation is going to be breathing. For breathing, you will need a place to lie down. It can be the couch, the bed, the best place, yoga mat, on the floor. If you have any kind of physical conditions, then you use the couch or the bed. And get yourself covered, make it comfortable, cushions underneath the legs and cushions maybe under your head if needed. The best way is straight, but if you need support, use it. The breath gonna be with your mouth open and eyes closed. I'm gonna demonstrating it sitting up, and please practice it with me sitting up, but you are going to be lying down later on. So the breath gonna be going like that. You'll be closing your eyes. The mouth is open. You can place your arm on your chest just for now to feel the breath. And the breath going to be like that. The mouth is going to get dry, and that's okay. And you move into a deeper breathing, and I'll be guiding you into this breath as well. If you're watching it and you need a bathroom break, take your bathroom break before we move on. Otherwise, I invite you all to sit up comfortably, chair or a couch, and preferably not too much leaning back, a bit of this vertical and comfortable grounded sitting up. Hands together, bringing them down, all the way down as if they were holding your lower belly. Inhaling and exhaling as you're closing your eyes. And get comfortable with yourself. Breathing in and breathing out. And just feel the ground underneath you. Feel the surface that supports your sit bones. Feel your body against the surface that's supporting you. Inhaling and exhaling. Be aware of the physical body as you're breathing in and breathing out. Be aware of your head. Be aware of your crown, the top of your head. Be aware of the back of your head. Be aware of the front. Be aware of your forehead, your eyes, your ears, your nose, and your mouth. Be aware of your neck and your throat. Be aware of your shoulders, your right shoulder and your left shoulder. Be aware of your chest and your belly. Be aware of your back and your spine. Be aware of your hips, your thighs, your knees, your chins, your ankles, all the way down, down, down to your feet. Be aware of your toes. Be aware of the feet pressing against the surface. Be aware of your whole physical body, inhaling and exhaling. Bring your awareness to your tailbone and your crown. Feel your tailbone and your crown. Feel the distance between your tailbone and your crown. Feel the spine that runs from your tailbone all the way upwards and extend this extension all the way to your crown. Feel this pool of energy that between your tailbone and your crown. And imagine this pool of energy, it's supporting your whole torso. It's holding your whole torso. Imagine this pool of energy has friction, have color, have presence. Feel the presence of this pool of energy. Now on an exhale, imagine you can ground this pool of energy as it's extending from your tailbone, extending on an exhale from your tailbone down, down, down into Mother Earth. And then you're extending it on an exhale up, up, up into Father Sky, into the universe. Imagine your whole being connected to Earth and universe at the same time through this pool of energy. You connected all the way above and all the way below. Inhaling and exhaling. Now be aware of your physical body. Be aware of your emotional body. Be aware of your mental body. Be aware of your memory body. Everything that you remember about yourself from your conception to today and now, whether you know it or you don't know it. Be aware of your higher self, your consciousness, your awareness, your God self, this other particle of you, this intelligent, this higher intelligence that is not your mind, it's not your memory, it's not your body, it's not your feelings, it's a higher intelligence. You can call it awareness, consciousness, higher self, whatever you want it. Or you can say, it is me, or this other part of me that I have still not fully embodied. Now be aware of the mind and that higher self. And look at the functions of the mind. What is the mind actually doing? What's its purpose? What is the purpose of your logical mind? The thing that between your two ears, the right atmosphere of the mind and the left atmosphere of the mind. What is the purpose of the mind? Get to know your mind. How does it think? How does it react? How does it learn? How does the mind takes in the world and the experiences that it's living through? How does the mind translate life experiences? And really look at any situation when you have this, I know it. I know I shouldn't be doing it, but I'm still not living it. At any situation where you wish you have behaved differently, felt differently, lived differently, any situation. And look how the mind interprets the situation, the outcome. If this is what's happening, that I'm behaving this way or that way. Look how the mind choosing to translate the situation into its own patterns. Look at the activity of the mind, the pre-programmed mind. What is it doing again and again? Now you're watching it from the observer. You're watching the mind and its patterns from the observer. Even if the mind right here, right now, choosing to do something that's not going to have the great outcome. Maybe the mind decided to get upset about certain situation and is throwing tantrums. Just witness it. Witness your pattern. Let the mind do what it does. Don't fix it. Don't change it. Just witness the pattern that you fall in most of the time. Maybe it's the pattern of the victim. Maybe it's the pattern of the reactor. What is the pattern? Maybe it's the pattern of some bad habits where the mind just goes and repeats the same thing. I know it and I'm still doing it, but I don't live it. I know I should be doing something else, but I'm still choosing this. I know that's not going to work, but I'm still doing it. Witness it. Hold the space for knowing it and not leaving it. Hold the space when you clearly can see the pattern of the mind. Just breathe through that. Just let it be. And watch just for the second, for this moment. You tell your mind or you tell yourself, it's okay. If you still need to be there, it's okay. I'm not going to criticize you. I'm just going to give you space to be there as long as you need to. But when you're ready, here is another way. Just for a second, imagine. Let your mind see this other way of being. Just so it's knowing there is another way. Give it another option, another behavior, another outcome. Allow yourself to fantasize it. Don't force it to change, but show it there is another way. And you can start imagining, if I was not in this pattern, who would I be? How would I live my life? You can also ask, why am I choosing to stay in the pattern? What's holding me in this pattern? You can start investigating more honestly, inhaling and exhaling. Again, take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. One more inhale, one more exhale. I'm going to invite you very gently and softly move yourself to horizontal, to lying down, whether it's on the floor or on the couch or on the bed. Move softly, gently. You can keep your eyes a bit soft gaze in that quiet, in that presence, stretching yourself on your surface. If you can, cover yourself up. Hands beside you, legs are straight, mouth is slightly open, and breathing through your mouth into your heart. Inhale through your mouth, exhale through your heart. Inhale through your mouth, exhale through your heart. Inhale through your mouth, exhale through your heart. Inhaling and exhaling with your mouth open on an inhale and your mouth open on an exhale. And let yourself go even deeper. Feel your whole body supported as you're breathing in and breathing out. Breathe into this knowing and living. I know it. I already know it. I already know it. But what you really want to know is to know your mind, not the information that you have read in the books, not what you have heard on YouTube again and again. You want to know the patterns of your mind. You want to know yourself. You want to know the choices that you make, why you're making them, and what's holding you in every situation that you are in. What keeping you moving forward? What keeping you stuck? Knowing your mind. What is the big picture? What is the fear? Knowing it means knowing yourself, knowing your mind, and approaching it with gentleness, with compassion. That's when the mind transforms. If you approach the mind with aggression, with criticism, with rushing it through, it will not cooperate. It will be standing like a stubborn mule that refuses to move forward. Your mind needs a space where it can feel safe, that it can show itself exactly what it is. If you criticize it, it will not show you anything. It will hide the wounds. Just like you were hiding yourself when you were a child, if you were criticized. Knowing yourself, it's opening the petals of the mind, one layer at a time. Knowing yourself, taking safe steps, one step at a time. And imagine yourself giving your mind that space to open up, that space to show you the truth, why it's choosing not to move forward, why it's choosing to repeat the old patterns, why it's choosing knowing it but not living it. What's the fear? What's the doubt? You can say to your mind, I got you, and that's okay. And all the expectations that you've been putting on your mind. Why am I still here? Why am I not there? When am I going to reach there? How come? Look at all the expectations that you've been putting on yourself and see if you can delete them. And just say to yourself and to your mind, everything in good time. Everything in good time. And really watch the reaction, your inner reaction. Is it a relaxation, a way of knowing everything is in good time, or the anticipation? But when? But when? Watch it and breathe into it. And even if you feel this anticipation of what, when, but when, but when, see if you can just say, everything is in good time. almost like this wise part of you talking to this young child who wants to go to the playground, but now I want to. And this wise self guiding it and saying, in good time, when you're ready. Breathing and allowing the mind to unfold in its own time, to evolve in its own time. And also allow yourself to look back. When you started this path of transformation, when you started this path of awareness, when you started to waking up, and notice how many changes you already have lived and transformed. Look how far you have come already. And you can see that it is always a moving path. It is always moving. Maybe when you started your transformation, you just wanted to get out of a toxic relationship, or you just wanted more awareness. But now you have new destinations. Because what you wanted 5 years ago, some of it already have happened. Some of it you already lived through. Some of it you already experienced. And now you're in the next phase of your life. You are living it. You are transforming. You are changing. You may be not always aware of it. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. So looking at your mind and its patterns and all the goals and destinations and all the information that it's consumed over the years, decades, lifetimes. Look at this brilliant tool, your mind, and that witness, that consciousness, that higher self, that just watching it. Inhaling and exhaling. Look at these two ways of living life, through the mind and through consciousness. And this mind, every time, every breath, every step, getting closer and closer as it's shedding off its own doubts and its own fears. And every time it's another step and another step. And it's a never ending journey of evolving, transforming, and changing. It's a never ending journey of evolving, transforming, and changing. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. One more inhale. One more exhale. One more inhale. One more exhale. Deep inhale and exhale. Bring yourself back by closing your mouth. Bringing a bit of movement to your toes and to your fingertips. Possibly bending your knees, bringing them to your belly. Moving your knees side to side. Now turn on your side, your right or your left. If it feels right for you, move into a child or find your way back to seated, back to vertical, back to today and now. Okay. Welcome back, guys. And allow yourself to realign yourself. Maybe sipping a cup of water, a bit of water. It's just rubbing your body a bit, coming back. And that's a very advanced topic. The knowing it and the living it. More advanced to be aware of it. More advanced to be present of it. Right? The mind is a very complex thing. We know we have our busy mind, and then we have this higher intelligence. And we jump between one or the other all the time. But the thing is that there's higher intelligence. There is another way of being. And you've revisited these places many times, and it feels great when the higher intelligence comes in and says, hey, you're in your mind. And the rest in between is just practice, right? Practice, practice, and practice. And in the meantime, while you're practicing being gentle with yourself, being loving with yourself, giving an open space for yourself, supporting yourself in the best way you can. It's not an easy path. Listen, when you decide to commit to that, and you commit to that when you understand that your mind is basically addicted to not good patterns. When you understand that, that's where you start to educate yourself, when you start to get new information and you overwhelm with information. Sometimes you know it, all right, but you're not living it. Practice is one great shortcut. Another practice is imagining a different outcome. When you catch yourself doing the same thing, start imagining and giving your mind an exercise of another way to react a certain way, or another way of embodying something, right? So when it's coming in, and if you feel frustration about something, you're identifying, you're asking all the right question, and then give yourself another reaction. If you know that you always speak to this person and you have a strong reaction, imagine that you're speaking to this person and your reaction is softer, right? If you're strongly reacting, most likely they touched on something that needs to be looked at. But yeah, knowing it and living it, there is a gap between the two, especially when so much is out there to learn and explore. And if you find this information interesting, please check the links. I offer 30 minutes one-on-one exploration of the difference and the knowing it and living it. Check the links, book your call, and see where I fit.